Hi everyone, I'm Tim Cash. This is the IMDb show. Give it up for my guest today, Lizzy Caplan.
I really appreciate that raucous applause.
Huge, massive.
I
We'll
know,
boost it
I
in the
need
edit.
some earplugs.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Where do I start with you? I'm gonna go Castle Rock.
Okay.
I loved season 1, and now I love it even more. A lot of that is down to you. That's my
Thanks.
only compliment for this next 30-minute interview.
That's it?
Well, that's it.
Oh.
Well done. When you find out the news you're going to play Annie Wilkes on Castle Rock, where do you start? What do you do?
Well, when it was first brought to my attention, my agent was like, they are interested in you to play this on this show. And I was a big fan of the first season as well. I watched it. And I knew in that moment that if I did join the second season, it would ruin the viewing experience. Because it's like one of the few shows that my husband and I would like, can't wait every week to watch. So I knew I would have to sacrifice that. That was the first fear. The second fear was that it's Annie Wilkes, and that is something that probably should never be touched by another human being ever.
Too late.
Whoops. And the third part was, I'm just scared. It was real terror. It was like, I don't know if I could do, because I don't generally play big characters. Usually there's elements of myself in a lot of the characters I play. And this was like a full-blown big swing character job. And I was very excited. I was very, very up for the challenge, but I knew that it was going to require exercising very different muscles and working in a totally different way, which it did require. And I knew because it scared me so much, I absolutely had to do it. Because if I was sitting around watching some other actress get to be Annie Wilkes on this totally bonkers show, I would have a big regret, and I don't think you should have. I don't think we as human beings
should live in regret.
I think you regret the things you don't do, not the things you do.
Put that in marble.
Most of them.
There you go, Lizzy Caplan's words of wisdom.
Yeah.
So you get over kind of your fear, your husband's kind of reluctance of letting you spoil season 2 for him.
Yeah, no, he was all like, you're doing this. You have to do this
100%.
100%, like no question.
So then what do? Do you go straight into scripts, or do you revisit Misery?
Well, I had the first episode. I had the script for the first episode, and it was great. And then I had...
What's great about it? Like when you read, you've seen a ton of scripts. What's great about this one?
It just moved, like from the beginning, from the first page. And I'm a huge fan of the first season, but the first season took its time at the beginning, and they were just clearly switching it up. Like tonally, they were going for something different. It was there's a lot that goes down in the first episode for Annie. And so I read it, I thought, okay, this is great, this is a huge challenge. I had recently seen Misery, like probably a couple of years ago. I mean, I had seen it when I was young, but I'd rewatched it a couple of years prior to getting the script. So it was pretty fresh in my brain. I watched it again immediately. I watched all the DVD special features, which are great on the Misery DVD.
So now you're watching it with a different mindset. You've got an agenda.
Yeah.
What are you taking away from that when you're watching? Are you pausing? Are you
a
writing?
lot, a lot of pausing,
what are you writing? What's
and
in
then
this
continued
notepad?
to watch it throughout the shooting of the show. Like I was always just watching, always watching clips of it.
So what are you looking for?
I was looking for how she moved. I was looking for weirdly like eye contact stuff, like how often does she look away? How often does she fix him? Because he's so clearly, well, obviously he's tied up and tied to a bed, so her point of view is always kind of looking down on him. And how she made that work and how she made that visually interesting and scary, other than just I'm looming over you and you're tied to a bed. It's so much scarier to me how she looks at him, how she interacts with him, how gentle she is when she's nursing him.
Right.
So all of those things were super helpful. And I wasn't necessarily trying to pull any specific thing. I just wanted it to kind of wash over me again and again and again until I kind of got what I saw as maybe the kernel of the essence of the gist of who
of what
this person is. Yeah, and then there would be scenes that would come up over the course of the season that reminded me of scenes from the movie, and so I would always rewatch those over and over again just to see, oh, that's how she. I don't want to give anything away, but that's how she swings that murder device.
Yeah,
cool.
So then another question that I'm always very curious by. You're at home, you're making these notes, you're making decisions. Actual actor decisions about a character. Do you have to run it past someone, or do you just go into the room and just throw it all out?
Oftentimes you do run it by people.
Who's the boss? You running it by your husband first just to get opinions?
I do run it by him because it's really nice. It's like a built-in person that I trust his opinion. He'll tell me if it sucks. Yeah, I do have to pay him.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, but it's worth it, I think. So yeah, normally the showrunner or the director of the first episode, you have some kind of rehearsal built in. I don't love rehearsing generally.
Why?
I just don't like giving it all until, I don't mind a half-assed rehearsal, or honestly, my version of rehearsal that I really like the most and seems to be kind of the norm a lot of the time is you really just sit there and you do like a page one, just going through the script, writing down your thoughts, saying, I feel like she would maybe, and you just sort of like digging deeper into the character.
Like brainstorming.
Yeah. As opposed to like putting it on its feet and, really rehearsing how you're going to play the scene. I don't like doing that. I like saving that bit for when the cameras are rolling.
Right.
I think a lot of people agree with that, but not all. Some people really like rehearsals. A lot of theater people love rehearsing, but I'm not a theater person. How do you feel when you have like a
co-star that like gives it 150% at that table read?
I see it less and less, but I'm impressed by people that do that in a way, but I just can't. I can't.
In this job, from my point, it happens, and my eyes are always like, oh God, we got one of those.
I know. Oh God, I guess I gotta speak louder. I gotta project this person. But yeah, so normally, I actually think the thing that I get the most out of in those rehearsals is that you are spending time with the people you are about to spend a lot of time with. Always you can look back at the first meetings of like your castmates or the crew that you're working with. And I think about this now in the first week. I look out at all the faces. I'm like, I'm gonna have an opinion about most of you by the end of this. But right now, everybody's strangers. Nobody knows each other. But on the other side of it, there is going to be a relationship between all of us. And on Castle Rock, it was like very close, and it was one of those special jobs. But I think rehearsal, it's just the more time you're spending with somebody, the quicker you're going to get to that shorthand with them. You just gain a level of comfort. So for me and Elsie Fisher, who plays my daughter, I just wanted to spend time with her.
She's great.
Oh,
she's great.
Goddess.
It's weird to me when people so young have that much skill and talent.
She's a very special human being.
Are you an actor that stays in character? Because that'd be extremely strange for everybody on set with you. Are you not?
I'm not. No, I'm really not.
And how does that, I always wonder, how does that like meld with people that do want to stay in character?
Listen,
like
I
all
think
of Daniel Day-Lewis's co-stars in history have been like, he's a bit weird.
Right, and every one of their co-stars of his co-stars has a real serious opinion about it. I respect people who are full-on method actors. That is not how I roll.
You don't do it?
No. I think a lot of people are not. Daniel Day-Lewis is probably the most extreme, but there's like a spectrum of it. I'm not. I think whatever you need to do, I respect you. Hats off. To mean it between action and cut, whatever you need to do. I don't need to be Annie Wilkes on my lunch break to mean it between action and cut. But some people do. And listen, whatever blows your hair back, I guess.
So what's the switch for you? Can you just do it like that? Is it because, by the way, what a wardrobe.
Yeah.
That's not something you're stealing to take home at the end of the day.
No, it was sad.
All.
I know. I love taking things, and there was nothing.
It's actually the perfect outfit to watch TV on a Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah, it was very comfortable.
What's the switch for you? Do you have before in the mirror?
Wardrobe does help.
Okay.
Masters of Sex probably opened my eyes to that the most, because I would wear these 1950s undergarments, and it's just a whole different thing to put all these tight corsets and girdles and stuff on. Not corsets, girdles.
Right.
Long line bras, you're clipping your style, and that helped. I always wore those, even when you weren't ever going to see them. I never opted for the Spanx.
Always kept them.
Always kept them. And then for Annie, I think undergarments weirdly do help me.
What undergarments does Annie Wilkes wear?
Big underwear.
Real
grandma's cotton underwear. So that helps. And then just her outfits, putting it on, the hair, all of it. And then you look in the mirror and you don't look like yourself. But to answer your earlier question, I don't, yes, you want to go over how, if you're taking a big swing on a character like this, you usually will talk to the showrunner about it. I didn't talk to anybody. I was just I'm going to do this, and hopefully they're not going to fire me.
Nervous when you actually have to unveil it?
I was positive they were firing me after the table read. Positive.
But they didn't, and what a great
They
decision to keep you
didn't.
there.
They didn't, but I don't know if that's because they didn't have. They ran out of time. I have no idea, but whatever. Whatever.
Tell me something. What do you do? Like, we have such an iconic role. It's a role that won Kathy Bates an Academy Award. What do you do in this situation? Because you want to make it your own, but I guess you also want to pay tribute. Otherwise, you're kind of rude. So what do you do?
Well, I do think a lot of actors, your initial knee-jerk thought is, I got to do my own thing. I'm not going to look at Misery. I'm going to create my version of this, and it has to be completely my own. I get that. I would probably do that for many other similar type characters. But for me, growing up with this movie, Kathy Bates is Annie Wilkes in Misery. I mean, that performance is so next level. It's like hero status. It was her first movie job, which is bonkers. And she won an Oscar. Like, she's amazing.
It's such a good film.
It's a great film. It really holds up. I love it. And you should rewatch it if it's been a minute.
It's amazing. Sorry, I'll let you finish your thought and then I'll tell you mine.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's amazing. Like, you said that everyone's Annie Wilkes is Kathy Bates, but there's going to be a whole new generation where you are that Annie Wilkes because you're killing it in Castle Rock.
Very nice of you.
But it's true.
I don't believe that that's true. I hope it's not true. I think of it as, like, she created this character. Obviously, Stephen King did. But what Kathy Bates brought to the film really filled out that character, because in Misery, the book, it's all Paul Sheldon's point of view. And she seems much more just straight villainous in the book. Kathy Bates brought all of this stuff to the character. To me, that is Annie Wilkes. And I'm just kind of like borrowing her for a little bit and then giving it back to the queen of Annie Wilkes, Kathy Bates.
The cool thing for you is you're playing a younger version of Annie Wilkes.
Yes.
She hasn't gone into her kind of reclusive part of her life yet.
100%.
So then you actually get to add a whole bunch of new flavor and kind of redefine the character.
That's the thing. I kind of had to.
Yeah.
And in a way that was really helpful. Just like the scripts did a lot of that work for me. Because as you said, the Annie in Misery, she is completely isolated. She lives alone. This is the first person she's had in her house, and Paul Sheldon in forever. And that's she's not self-medicating. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a daughter to take care of. And you really don't see her until the very end in a state of fear. Our Annie is freaked the out about a lot of stuff. And she's got all these responsibilities. Right. So just the nature of what her day looks like being so completely different than the Misery Annie Wilkes, I think a lot of the heavy lifting is kind of taken care of in that way.
What are the scenes you love, that you look forward to when it comes to Annie Wilkes?
Oh, there's so many.
I
loved it. I loved playing this character. It was so...
Like
and
the
now
madness?
Yeah, and I'm watching it now. I don't watch stuff that I do really anymore, but I'm watching this. Yes. And I actually am still able to enjoy it, which is very new for me and really weird. I think because it's so different from who I am. But watching it's like, oh yeah, that really did look like it took a lot of energy. I guess I was just sort of on autopilot, like trying not to think about how many hours a day I was like freaking out every day. But all the scenes with Elsie were very fun. I love that kid. Like, I truly, truly love her. She's an exceptional actress. But
you have to give her back at the end of the season.
I hate it.
Don't Annie Wilkes it.
I would love to keep her forever in my pocket. She's amazing.
Big step for you watching your own stuff back and enjoying it.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the fact, like, your initial concern was, oh my God, Annie Wilkes has been played by Kathy Bates. And now, honestly, I said I wouldn't compliment you. It's their compliment in like the last every review that you get, and you can't be oblivious to it.
No, I have been seeing
super
stuff.
Positive.
I know, it's really weird. That hasn't really sunk in. I guess because I don't ultimately care that much. I'd care more if they were negative reviews. That would that would make me very, very sad. But I don't know, maybe it's the Jew in me that the positive ones just like roll off my back. That's not for me.
Perfect.
But I'm glad that people I'm obviously very, very, very glad that people are digging it, because I had a mini to medium-sized panic attack every single night for the first 3 or 4 months.
Medium-sized panic attacks, giant-sized granny underwear.
That's right, Wilkes. The biggest you've ever seen.
That's what's getting the headlines tomorrow. There's another show that you're on, Truth Be Told.
Yes.
You're part of the new Apple TV Plus family.
I am.
We're living in this world where we've got these new channels.
What a family it is. Tim
and you're
Cook.
in it.
Yeah, I'm in it.
Any perks, by the way, being part of the Apple TV
Yes,
Plus
well,
family?
I will say when I first walked into my trailer on day one of shooting, I was expecting like a Genius bar and just people there waiting like, what would you like? You can have this, you can have this. And there was nothing.
Zero?
Nothing.
Not even an iPad?
Not even an iPad.
So what's the perk?
Well, I complained about it loudly into the camera every day. Sort of jokingly, but sort of not. And since then, other things have sort of materialized.
Like?
Well, I just got a new phone
Okay.
yesterday. But
Nice.
there was some other stuff earlier too. But the newest phone
Oh, okay.
and the last new phone.
Okay, nice. What you need to do is go for the voice of Siri.
Yeah,
That's
the
move.
money maker.
That's a payday for life. All right, let's talk about Truth Be Told.
Okay.
What was it about the show that made you say yes?
I really wanted to work with Octavia Spencer.
That was it?
That was the first one. Everybody I know who has worked with her just couldn't say nice enough stuff about her.
I'd literally throw you a question being like, is it true how nice she is? But I already know this answer because
It's
people
100%
tell me
true.
every single time.
It's crazy. She's like Tom Hanks level loved.
No one's Tom Hanks level. Stop.
She will be.
She's
she
up
will
there?
be Mr. Rogers level loved by the time she's his age. Yeah, she's amazing and just so talented, so warm, so fun, so funny. And then Aaron Paul joined, I think, after I did. And it's like, oh, this cast is amazing. I sat down with the showrunner. She was Nichelle Tramble Spellman.
Yeah.
And she is very smart and really, again, another like really nurturing, warm. I love working for female showrunners. They just kind of get it in a different way.
In what way?
I think women are better at multitasking and maybe handling more of the emotional heavy lifting that comes from running a show than men are.
It's so weird. Just the other day I had this conversation, I Googled it, and it literally goes, women are better at multitasking.
I mean,
facts.
No surprises there.
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
What makes it better? Like on a set, having a female showrunner?
Well, we're in this moment now where, we're in this transitional moment, and it has changed. But it is definitely still in the process of changing because it's still a question that we get asked. What is it like working for a female showrunner?
Sorry.
It's still, listen, not your fault, male privilege. Not your fault because it is still rare. I mean, the percentages, I don't even know how many percentages of the showrunners working right now in the like 500 scripted shows are women, but it's still like a tiny number and an embarrassingly small number. But it is beginning to change. I did this panel for a show that I did 10 years ago, and looking at this panel, and I'm very proud of the show, I love it, but it was like it's all white cast. That is not what is happening right now, and it's amazing. I don't think we're done. I don't think we're anywhere near the finish line, but the changes are beginning to happen. So it's exciting to be part of the team that is helping to make that happen.
Good.
And even just joining a show with a female showrunner. And, when I see a female camera operator, that's really exciting because that seems to be the one that's like slowly catching up.
The camera operator thing.
Yeah.
The cameraman.
Yeah, cameraman. But yeah, so I look forward to the day when it's just not something we even think about or consider, but right now it is progress happening in real time. So any time I can be a part of progress happening in real time,
There you
sign
go.
me up.
I didn't say what you like about it. I said what makes it better.
Oh,
Just
okay.
clarifying.
Okay.
In this, I've realized you're actually picking. Well, I looked at your IMDb page, and bit by bit, I don't know if you've noticed this, you're picking like more complex, more difficult characters every single time. You're kind of making more work for yourself.
Yeah.
You're like flexing more muscles. You can't rely on like the tricks
That's
that
true.
actors have. You must be enjoying it immensely. In this show, you're playing twins.
Yeah.
That must have been an attractive yet challenging perspective.
It was both of those things.
Okay, so what do you do? How do you do that?
I had played twins once before in a movie, an indie movie, 12 or 13 years ago that has never been released. It's probably not on my IMDb page, nor will it ever be, and I would be very, very shocked if anybody ever saw this movie, ever, anywhere in the world. But I played twins in it, so I had a method for doing it on this indie film that I thought I would just adopt for the Truth Be Told project, and it didn't work. Because the indie film was like this super stylized, like rat-a-tat-tat kind of dialogue. And so I would use an earwig, and I would shoot one side of it, and they would record it. And when I did the other side, I would have my voice from the other side, and then just fill in those pauses.
So that doesn't work in this?
It doesn't, because truth be told, just had a lot more emotional beats, and I didn't want to be, stymied by, you have 5 seconds to get this line out because that's how much you gave yourself on the other side. It was just, it didn't work.
What do you do here?
It was a bit of trial and error.
Okay.
But I had 2 very talented actresses that were my doubles, and so one was the brunette and one was the blonde, and I would decide at the beginning of each day, or actually probably the day or 2 before, if I had lots of twin stuff to do, like which character I wanted to be first. It was always the person who was driving the scene, whatever that scene might be.
Right.
And I would go over with the stand-ins, like, I think I'm going to do it kind of like this when I'm playing your part. So if I was the brunette, and I'm going to be the brunette first, then the blonde stand-in, I'd say, I think I'm going to do it like this when I'm blonde, but just kind of speed this part up and slow this part down, kind of do whatever you want. And then I would switch over, and hopefully my brunette stand-in would have been standing behind the monitor and watching everything I was doing, so she could kind of emulate that while I was doing the other side. It was really complicated. I have no idea if it worked.
It's great.
You've seen more than I have.
I like that
so
you're like
you
making more work for yourself and for the stand-ins.
It was
like,
a
we
lot
just thought
of
we'd come
extra
and stand
work.
today.
Yeah.
But that must be great for them. Imagine how happy
Yeah, they were,
are.
and they're wonderful. But it was, it's double the work and double the time, and I still have
double
no
the
idea.
pay. By the way, start
Not
this campaign.
double the pay.
If you're reading 2 people's lines and playing 2 different people's characters, you should be getting double the pay.
I completely agree. I had to go through hair and
1000%.
makeup twice. I mean,
this is nonsense. You want to make a change? That's the one you make a
yeah,
change
double
for.
the pay change. That's the new move.
You've got a ton of experience on your IMDb page, not including this unreleased movie that who knows what it is.
You'll never see it.
62 credits.
Whoa, really?
Surprises you? Yeah,
Yeah.
62 up there. So what is something
That's crazy.
that you learned about acting through the experience of playing twins that you didn't know before that makes you better?
Well, I think I realized how much I rely on the moments between takes, your off time on set, and how you get to spend that chatting with people that you respect or really like. When you're playing both characters, you're just kind of sitting in a chair on your phone.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Learning, like doing what?
Learning or doing crossword puzzles. Okay, gotcha. They just required a lot more focus, because you really had to know if it's a 4-page scene and every line is yours, then that's your evening.
Is it me or more people playing twins?
Yeah, it's like a thing now for sure.
It's a thing?
Paul Rudd, I mean, how many are on his clone show?
Oh, yeah, so many.
So many.
A ton.
I'm sure he loved that idea.
But that's weird. That's not the first
there.
name that I go to when I think.
J.K. Simmons killed it as
Yeah.
twins on Counterpart.
Yes. I remember that, where he's playing a badass version
Yes.
of himself and then the dorky version
Yes.
of himself. And
He's
seeing him,
wonderful.
that range is just brilliant.
That was a
good show.
That was a really good show.
Where is it?
Exactly. Too much content.
That's happened to you before. Like, for me, well, it's funny, Freaks and Geeks, I was surprised to find out that actually got abruptly cancelled. Yet now is in like huge cult status.
Yeah.
Same with Party Down.
Yeah, that's
right?
that's my lane.
What is it? Like, well, first of all, Freaks and Geeks was like your first, I think,
First
IMDb
ever
credit.
job.
So that must be like a terrible day for you.
I mean, no, it actually wasn't, because
you
I
learn?
wasn't a regular on that show. I did, I got cast as girl number 1 in the pilot. I had 1 line. It was my first time on a set, period. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what a mark was. I didn't know that they turned to the cameras and then you were to the side. I didn't know anything. And so I learned a lot that day. I remember telling my dad, like, there was a woman and I was eating a banana, but then they needed me and she just held my banana. I think that was her job. Like, I didn't get any of it. And I was so scared and really shy and nervous. I don't think I made any friends on that. And they brought me back for, 3 more episodes, and it was never particularly fun for me. It was just really intimidating. But now looking back, and I've since become friends with a lot of those people who were on that show and involved in different ways, I'm so lucky that I was girl number 1 in the pilot. I remember being like, I'm not doing it. I should be the star of something. It was like, oh my God, this 15-year-old like cocky idiot.
And then Party Down. I mean, again, cult favorite. So think about it this way. Now that, like, if you think back to that 15-year-old being like, I should be the star, to now where you are the star and you are crushing it, you're doing just fine.
Thanks, bud.
What's that, like, thinking back, what do you miss?
It was a really fun life doing these under-the-radar comedy shows. That's where I met my actor friends, like my crew. and everybody sort of works on everybody else's stuff, and it felt like a community, and sure, everybody's competing, but there was so much love there. I found like my group of weirdos in that world, and it was a great life, like a carefree 20s, you know, you make enough money to pay your rent and go to nice dinners and maybe go on vacation with your friends every once in a while. It was everything, you know, like my overhead was low. I didn't need to work for any other reason other than I just loved working. And it was kind of my whole life. Then as you get older and the parts change and you change, then you realize that, oh no, actually it's just the work part of my life. It's not my entire life, but
Right.
that was sort of a big weird transition for me. That's probably still kind of happening. But I remember thinking when I got Masters of Sex, which was like the first kind of big drama thing
Awesome
that I
show.
did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I love that show. But that's kind of where that kind of like, hanging out with the comedy kids, and that's my whole life and community, that kind of changed. And now felt like a fish out of water in the drama world, but I was no longer like the scrappy comedy one. So then it took me a few years to realize, no, that's the dream, to just be able to bounce around, to be able to seek out different kinds of jobs and to have variation. That's everything. Because I know so many people, actresses and actors, who get pigeonholed into that one thing that they can do. And it's really easy to convince yourself that I'm very good at doing that thing and I'm probably not going to be good at that, so I'm going to stay in this lane. And I have gotten to jump around into many different genres, and that's all I want. If I can do that forever and just have a variation of roles, then I am happy.
Is there a genre that you haven't tackled yet that you'd love to get? What is it?
I mean, a true action movie I think would be fun, an action comedy, but I kind of don't. I'm trying to think what the action comedies are these days, because I'm thinking of like Con Air and like those early.
Sure, I mean, but like Bad Boys 3 is coming back and things like that. That's like
I sure hope that's good.
Whew.
Right? It's got to be good. There's high expectations for that.
I think it will be.
Jumanji, that's a action-y, adventure-y.
100%. And by the
very
way,
funny. I'm into Jumanji. Jumanji's hilarious.
So that's what you're thinking, action.
No, yeah, something with The Rock.
No, and Kevin Hart, and just two of the biggest names and things. You mean in action? What is it about action that you're quite psyched to get involved in?
It's just something I haven't done before. I like the idea of, you have to get a trainer and learn how to kick. I'm like, cool. That sounds fun to me.
Here's what your schedule looks like today.
Yeah.
You're learning to be Keanu Reeves in The Matrix.
Right?
Literally.
That would be amazing. Gun Fu.
Gung Fu.
That
John
stuff.
Wick.
Yeah, I love John Wick. I am like I have a
best.
T-shirt
that
I wear on the streets.
The best. And like, if you watch 3, you're like, I even thought about this, how he like moves because it's all happened in like the same
He's
night.
like 55. How old is he?
Ageless.
What is that?
Ageless. I'm like, Keanu, what's your secret?
Dude, he's a god.
Apparently
So not just that though,
Yeah.
action, just like different, I'd like to do another period thing again. I always thought that was really fun. All the things. I'd like to do all the things.
Period action.
That's
where it's at.
That's my husband's new show, Period Action.
No, it's not.
It is.
What do you mean?
I don't mean period action.
What do you mean?
Why are you blushing?
No, I'm not at all.
No,
But what do you mean period
that's,
action?
That's the thing.
That's his new thing?
Well,
What's the show?
It's not out yet.
Okay,
it's called
cool.
The Nevers. It's Joss Whedon's new show.
We'll get him on
It's
for
a
that.
period piece, and there's action. I
done.
think there's action. I don't even know. Nobody's seen it.
We're not here to promote him. Final question before we move on to your watch list. I was quite pleased to read that it was, a couple of things. It was the 15th anniversary of Mean Girls. And then I also read that you actually rewatched it with your husband.
Yeah.
And it triggered, like, emotions in you that you didn't think it would.
Yeah, it did. It's weird. I hadn't seen that movie in so long, maybe 15 years. And he hadn't seen it. We were going to see the Broadway musical. And
You forced him to sit down and watch
No, he was like, no. Maybe a little bit. No, I didn't force him because I never want to watch my own stuff.
Right.
It's like, we're going to see this thing. I could use a little, brush up on my Mean Girls. I don't really remember too much. And, he had wanted to see it, but, it's passes men by sometimes, like heterosexual, like men.
I've seen it.
But how old are you?
Like a bunch of times.
How old are you?
Old enough to know better
How
than to
old?
watch that a couple of times.
Are you Under
40, yes.
35?
Right there.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like he was older than... Anyway, it passed him by. He didn't see it. We watched it together. It was like...
What do you think?
He loved it. It really holds up. It's a great movie.
What's his reaction, honestly, when he sees you for the first time with that very interesting hairdo? What did he say?
I think he had probably seen photos of that before. It has a life on the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I look like a baby in that. I was a baby. We all were babies. It's really weird. And watching the movie, it was like, oh God, this really is great. And it holds up in a way that, people now all the time tell me that their 10-year-old, 12-year-old daughters are watching it and are obsessed with it and watch it every day. That to me, it's like, but how they have cell phones and social media now, and that wasn't part of that movie.
GIFs,
But like
I don't know
the
what
actual
official word is,
story,
but
how
it still gets used all the time.
I know.
All
It's
the time.
really, I just don't see how the kids now identify with kids from, 15 years ago, but they do. And we watched the musical and it was so awesome. That's where I had the emotional response.
Right there.
It's like these kids that grew up watching this movie and, I went backstage and hung out with them afterwards and they were really small when the film came out. They were raised on it. And then they get to, it's like a big dream of theirs. It's like how I feel about Kathy Bates. They feel about us and Mean Girls, which
I love it.
makes me, it's so bizarre.
Lizzy, let's do your watch list.
Okay.
It's watch this time.
What do we do with that?
You tell me.
What
do you
watches
watch
I
at home?
like?
Yeah, well, apart from your own stuff, what do you watch at home?
I only watch things I'm in.
Reruns of Masters of Sex. And
I love
unreleased
That's
movies.
the easiest one
That's
to
why
watch.
it was unreleased. You've got the only copy at
That's
home.
right.
And you're
I have the
constantly
master.
rewatching. What's on your watch list? This is always quite telling.
Is it?
Yeah, what are you into?
I guess that's why they put it on internet dating profiles, because it's very telling.
Do they?
I don't know.
Like what you're watching?
Yeah,
I'm sure
they must,
do.
right?
I'm sure they do, yeah.
Okay, here's what I'm watching. I'm trying to think. I was late to the Fleabag party, but I watched 2 seasons in one weekend and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, everyone.
Like,
Everybody.
amazing.
Literally everyone in
Yeah,
the world. I don't know
it's-
anyone that doesn't like that show.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, all of it.
It's so next level. It's like disturbing. Barry. I love that show. I have some friends on that show. Full disclosure.
Hader?
No. Yeah,
Winkle?
no. Huh. I think I've met them, but
Yeah.
no. Anthony Carrigan, who
Okay.
plays NoHo Hank,
Uh-huh.
who's like the greatest ever and like killing it in that show, Beyond. That makes me feel gross, name dropping. I don't know Bill Hader.
I forced it. All right, go on, another show.
Have you seen Watchmen yet?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Watchmen's fantastic.
So you were obviously a fan from before.
A fan
the
of
movie?
Watchmen. I
So
saw
you're
the
brand
movie.
new in it?
I've seen the movie.
Okay. So what are you liking about Watchmen?
I love Damon Lindelof. I was very late to The Leftovers. I just
Okay.
watched that like in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
All 3 seasons.
Are you digging, what is it you're loving about Watchmen? I feel like not enough people are talking about Watchmen.
I think a lot of people are talking
Okay,
about
good.
it.
So what are you loving about it?
I just love the way he tells stories. Stephen King, and not in the same way, but the character-driven stuff, and not afraid of some like trippy pull the rug out from under you storytelling and like narrative switcheroos. The Leftovers, I think, is the most brilliant show of like the past
Amazing
10 years.
show.
Yeah. And you could see shades of it in this, but now it's in this way. It's just, I just trust him. As a viewer, I sit there and I'm like, I don't need to worry about anything. Damon's
always
going
gonna
to
be
take
good.
us through,
Yeah,
and
of
it's going to
course.
make perfect sense, and it's going to be super deep and layered, and yeah. So I'd say that's up there right now. And have you seen the show Encore?
I have not. Tell me about Encore.
I think it's the best show on TV.
All right, why?
Yeah.
Sell me on it.
It's on Disney Plus, the new streaming service, which is wonderful. I mean, I think I'm probably not supposed to say that because I'm on the other streaming things. But
For real?
It's wonderful.
Everyone's friends
Yeah,
there.
yeah, everybody's best
Yeah,
friends.
best friends.
Kristen Bell hosts this show. It's like a documentary thing. Each week, they go to a high school that had, I'm explaining it wrong. Okay, for example, episode 1. Might be episode 2. One of the early episodes, Annie, okay? A high school somewhere put on a production of Annie in 1996. So now they're in their early 40s, right? They go and they get the cast from the high school production. And they're all, grown up and they have kids and life has gotten in the way and now everybody's just into their routine. And they redo Annie with the grown-up cast from the High School Musical. I mean,
That's
it's amazing.
Brilliant. How do you even pull that off?
It is, I don't know. I sobbed so fully the whole time. I don't even know why I cried as hard as I did, but it shook me in a major way.
I'm hooked. That's right up my street. I hadn't even heard about it.
I know. Well, it's
And I
brand
work
new.
here.
It's brand new.
Final one.
Encore.
Give me a movie. What's a movie you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to The Irishman.
Seen it? No.
No.
That's why you'd be looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that.
Scorsese. Can't wait for that. You gonna watch it on big screen or at home?
I don't know. I guess schedule permitting, I'd prefer to see it on the big screen, but I don't mind.
But you're busy.
I'm busy.
Lizzy Caplan, thank you so much for coming by the show. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations on everything.